I'm going to revise the remaining topics of Unit 2. These are the topics to be discussed. So the first one is requirement engineering process. Is nothing but we have to gather the information or requirements from the client and the requirements to be analyzed and documented. So this process is known as requirement engineering process. Is nothing but the requirements are gathered from client and the requirements are analyzed and the requirements gathered requirements are documented. These concepts are known as software requirement engineering process. Information gathering, information analyzing, information documentation. So these three processes are known as requirement engineering process. So the goal of requirement engineering process is nothing but to develop and maintain software requirement specification document, because this document consists of the information or data to be gathered from the user. So the requirement engineering process is nothing but the information or data gathered from the user and the informations are analyzed and gathered informations are documented is nothing but requirement engineering process. So the goal of requirement engineering is to be develop and maintain a particular document. That document is known as software requirement specification document. So there are 4 steps in requirement engineering process: feasibility study, requirements gathering, software requirement specification, and software requirement validation. So what is feasibility study? Whenever the client or user approaches a particular organization or a particular company for getting a particular product to be developed, they are coming up with a rough idea about the particular product or particular system. What are the functions of the particular software must perform, and the features are expected from the software. So this feasibility study is focused towards the goal of the particular organization, and also the study analyze whether the software product can be practically achieved and practically accepted and practically developed by the software developer. So it explores the technical aspects of the project and product, such as usability and maintainability and productivity and integration ability. So the output of feasibility study is nothing but it should be report that should contain adequate commands and recommendations for management about whether or not the project should be undertaken. Next one is requirement elicitation process. Requirement elicitation process having 4 types. First, we have to gather the requirements. Then the requirement have to be organized. After that, the requirements to be negotiated and discussion. And the final one is have to specify the requirements. Requirements gathering, requirements organization, negotiation and discussion, requirement specification. So the first one is requirements gathering. Is nothing but the developers have to discuss with the client and end users to know about the expectations of the user from about the software. Next, organizing requirements. In this type, the developers have to prioritize and arrange the requirements in the order of importance and emergency and convenient of the particular user. Next one is negotiation and discussion. If the requirements are ambiguous or there are some conflicts to be occurred in the requirements of the particular various stakeholders, then it is have to be negotiated and discussed with the particular stakeholders. Then the requirements may be then to be prioritized and reasonably compromised by the software developers. The final one is specification is nothing but documentation. So here all formal and informal requirements are, which means functional and non-functional requirements are documented, which means specified, and which may be available for next phase of processing steps. So these are the 4 steps to be executed in requirement elicitation process. First have to be gathered the requirements and then have to be organized, which is nothing but the requirements are arranged in a particular order. After that, the requirements are discussed. Is nothing but if there are any problems arised in the requirements or if there are any conflicts occurred in the requirements, then the developers have to be discussed with the particular stakeholders. Then again the requirements are arranged in a particular order. That is nothing but discussion. And final one is after the requirements process is over, the requirements are documented or specified, what are the functional and non-functional requirements, then the information should be available for the next phase processing. Then the requirement elicitation techniques. So the requirement elicitation process is nothing but have to identify or find out the requirements for the software system by communicating with the client, end users and system users and others who are involved in the software system development. There are various ways to find out the requirement process, because requirement elicitation is nothing but is a process have to find out the requirements from the user. So there are many ways to find out or discover the requirements from the user. First way is interviews, second one is surveys, questionnaires, task analysis, domain analysis, brainstorming session, prototyping and observation. These are the methods or techniques or ways to be conducted to gather or find out the information or requirements from the user. This process is called as requirement elicitation process. We'll see one by one. First method is interview. Interviews are the strong medium or communication process to collect the requirements from the user. The interview may be conducted in two ways. One is oral interview and another one is a written interview. Second one is survey. So the company or organization may have to conduct the survey among the various stakeholders by questioning about the particular product of what are the expectations and requirements for each and every individual about the particular system. Next one is questionnaire. The developer have some document which consists of some set of predefined set of objective questions, and the respective options is handed over to each and every stakeholders to answer, which are collected and compiled. From that the result, the requirements have to be easily identified by the software developer. Next one is task analysis. The engineer and developer team may analyze the operation for which the new system is required. They have to analyze the particular task to be identified to gather the information from the user. Next one is domain analysis. Every software falls into some category, domain category. So they expect pupils in the particular expertized domain. They can give the help to analyze the particular specific requirements. Next one is brainstorming session. So a informal debate to be conducted among the various stakeholders, and all their inputs are recorded for further requirement analysis. Next method is prototyping. Prototyping method is building user interface without adding any detailed functionality for the user to interrupt the features of the particular software product. So it helps to provide the better idea of the particular requirements. Final one is observation. So each and every individual team of the expertise visit the client's organization or company or a workplace. So they directly observe the actual working of the existing installed system. So only they can easily observe the workflow of the client's end and how execution are actually evaluated in a particular workplace of the client. So these are the methods or techniques to be conducted to discover the requirements from the user. This process is known as requirement elicitation process. So next one is software requirement characteristics. So gathering the requirements is the foundation of the entire software development project. So the requirement specification should be have satisfied the following category, then only the software should be complete one. The software specification should be clear and correct, consistent, coherent, comprehensible. It should be modifiable, verifiable. It should be prioritized one, and it also unambiguous, and it should be easily traceable and creditable source. So these are the specification to be satisfied by each and every requirement. So the next topic is requirement validation. It is the process of verifying that whether the requirements to be defined for the development process, and also it should be defined the system that should the customer really wants. So the software requirement specification should include, and also it checks the following techniques. It should check the completeness check, consistency checks, validity checks, realism check, ambiguous check, and final one is verifiability. So these are the checking to be done in the requirement validation process. Next topic is requirement management. It should be defined as the process of elicitation, documentation, organization, and control the changes to be occurred in the requirements, because the requirements to be changed in each and every time for a particular uses. So the requirement manager or developer have to be handled with the change process of the requirement. So it can be handled by the requirement management process. So there are some activities performed in requirement management process. The first activity is we have to be recognized the need for the change in the requirements. What is the need for the change in the requirement, and also providing the relationship among the stakeholders, and they are forcing to involved in each and every process of requirement engineering process, and identifying and tracking the requirement attributes. And also requirement management enables the development team to identify, control, and track the requirement, and what are the changes to be occurred in what time and what situations the changes to be made in the software requirement process. So in requirement management process, it always starts with planning step. So after planning step, each and every requirement to be assigned to the unique identifier, so that it can be easily cross-checked by the other requirements. So the requirement tracing is nothing but it is a medium to trace the requirements from the start of the development process till the end of the software development. The objective of requirement tracing is to ensure that all the requirements are well understood by each and every individual user. So it have to be traced two methods. One is it should verify whether the user requirements are implemented and tested, and it enable the user understanding of impact of changing requirement, which means the user should understand about the impact of changing requirement. If the changes to be occurred in the requirement of the process, then what are the impact to be analyzed by the software engineer? These all should be understood by the each and every individual user. So in requirement management process, one traceability matrix to be developed. The matrix is nothing but which having each single row and column. So each requirement is entered in row and column of the matrix. The dependencies between the requirements to be marked in each and every cell of the traceability matrix. There are two terms, one is capital U and another one is capital R. U in the row and column, it is intersection, indicates that the dependencies of the requirements in the row and column, high dependencies are there. If capital R present in the row and column, which indicates that means the weaker dependencies among the particular matrix. Capital U is the strong dependency, capital R is the weak dependencies between the requirements. So the final one is we have to handle the requirement change management process. There are 3 steps. In first step, the problem to be analyzed and specifies the change in the project management, problem analysis and change specification. Next one is change analysis and costing. So next step is we have to analyze the change which should be occurred in what type of situation and what type of category. So then the cost will also get increased. So the final one is implementing change implementation. So we have to identify the particular change, and the final step is we have to implement the particular change. So the requirement change management is used when there is a request or proposal to be gathered from the user for the change in the requirement. The main use of this process is that the changes to the proposals are managed consistently and in a controlled manner. So this is the main advantage of requirement change management process. So the next topic is classical analysis or structured system analysis. So structured system analysis is nothing but is the development method which allows the analyst or engineer or developer to understand about the particular system and its activities. So it is a systematic approach which uses graphical tools that analyze and refine the objectives of an existing system which is used to develop a new system. It has some attributes. First one, it is graphic. Second one is it divides the process to the clear picture of system flow. Third one is it is logical rather than physical. It is an approach that works from high level to low level. Last one is it uses structured analysis tools. So these are the attributes to be specified in structured system analysis approach. So these are the structured system analysis tools. Some of the techniques are used: data flow diagrams, data dictionary, decision trees, decision tables, and structured English language, and the final one is pseudocode. These are the methods to be used in structured system analysis. We can use any methods to refine the objectives of an existing system to produce a new system. So structured system analysis is nothing but we have to refine the goals or objectives or requirements of the already existing system. So those requirements and objectives are refined to produce a new system. So for this method or process, we have many methods. These are the techniques or methods. So in this, these are the methods. We are familiar about data flow diagrams. Data flow diagram is the most important concept. Data flow diagram is otherwise called as bubble chart. So it is a technique to express the requirements of the system in a graphical form. And also it shows the flow of data between various functions of the system and specifies how the current system is implemented. And also it is the initial stage of the design phase. It is a graphical nature, makes it good communication between the user, and also it gives the overview about what a data system process, what are the transactions to be done, and what are the type of the data to be stored, and what results are produced by the particular system, and what is the flow between the data to be analyzed. So these are the concepts to be covered in data flow diagram, which is also called as bubble chart. So these are the basic elements or notations of data flow diagram. There are four elements. One is square element or square shape. This indicates the source or destination of the particular data. Source of the data, or which may be a destination of the particular data. Arrow symbol indicates the data flow between the process or between the destination of the data or between the data stored. Circle means it indicates the process. Open rectangle means which indicates the data dictionary or data store information, which is mainly used to store the particular information about the user or process or anything. So this is a sample example for data flow diagram. There are four notations. One is square symbol, which is source or destination of data. Next one is arrow symbol, which indicate the data flow between the process. Third one is circle, which indicates the process. Last one is open rectangle, which indicates the data store, which means it acts like a library. So this is the sample example for data flow diagram. In this data flow diagram, there are many levels: level 0, level 1, level 2. So here there are three levels. One is 1.1 and 1.2 and 1.3. We can also indicate 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, otherwise 2.1, 2.2, anything. The process level may be indicated from initial to high level. So here in square shape, there will be only one square shape, that is student. So it's nothing but source of data or destination, if which act as source and destination of the data, because it initially pass the information and also it get the result, finally it get the result, so it acts as a source and destination of a data. There are three processes because there are three circles: 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. So circle represents the process, and each and every square and circle having arrow. So arrow indicates the data flow, and there are three data store: open rectangle shape, students, test, and test registrations. So these are the data flow diagram. This is the example for the student test registration process. So initially the student sent the request for test request to check request process 1.1. So the check request process send the request to registered students, valid request. If there are two conditions, one is the request to be valid and request to be invalid. If the request is valid in the sense, so the process is going to register students. So the registered students process getting the information from the test registration data store about the test registration data store contains the information about all registration process, and also the test data store giving the test ID to the particular check request process, and also students data store giving the particular ID for the student to check request. After that the 1.1 check request process giving the information to the confirm registration 1.2 confirm registration process. After that the confirm registration process send the reply to the student as registration is confirmed if the condition is valid request occurred. Otherwise, if the request is invalid in the sense, the process 1.1 check request is immediately send the invalid request to the particular student. So this is the sample data flow diagram for student test registration process. So the next topic is Petri nets. It is developed by Carl Adam Petri. Petri nets or the concept have been extended and developed and applied in variety of areas, that is office automation and flexible manufacturing, programming languages, protocols, networks, research, embedded system, internals, telecommunication, e-commerce, railway networks, and biological systems. So these are the sample real-time example in these areas Petri nets to be applied. So the Petri nets deals with the graphical aspect of system description, not the algebra of Petri nets. So while the mathematical properties of Petri nets are interesting and useful by constructing them graphically. So the aim of Petri nets, which is used to construction and analysis by the computer software for the simulation and analysis of Petri nets. It is a network. So the Petri net is the collection of directed arcs connecting places and transitions. So in Petri nets there are two concepts are there. One is places and another one is transition. Places means which may hold tokens. Token is nothing but an identifiers. And transition takes place, the state transition from one place to another place. So here there are two circles. One is P1 place with token, and second circle is P2 another place. So intermediate T1 transition is a rectangle shape, which means we have to transit or perform the transaction from one place to another place, from P1 to P2, which is done by the transition T1. So here these are considered as a network process. So this is Petri net. There are two terms, one is places and another one is transition. Places involved, it hold any token or any information. So transition takes place from one place to another place, from P1 to P2 by using the transition of T1. So the final topic is data dictionary. It is a repository of data elements to be used in the system, and also it stores the description of all data flow diagram elements, that is detailed and definition of data flows, data stores, and the data to be stored in the data store and the process. So the data dictionary is nothing but which is used to store all information about the particular DFD, data flow diagram. In data flow diagram there are process, data flow, data store and process are there. So the data store information, the source and destination of particular data information, and process information and data flow information, and so those informations are to be stored in a particular repository that is nothing but data dictionary. So the data dictionary improves the communication between the analyst and user, so that the analyst can easily get the information from the data dictionary about the particular data element which is used in the system, and also the user get the information from the data dictionary about the particular product. From that data dictionary we can easily develop the decision trees. So the decision trees are the method for defining the relationship between the process by describing the decisions and avoiding the problems during the communication process. So the decision tree is the diagram that shows the alternative actions and conditions within the horizontal tree format. So this is the decision tree example. Initially, there will be one condition, number one. So each and every problem having many conditions. Here there are some two sample condition 1 and condition 2, that is 2 and 6. So each condition having some action to be performed to develop the particular product. So for condition 2, action 1, for condition 6, action 4. So each and every action may have many conditions. So the action 3 can be divided into condition 3 and condition 4, which is called as 4 and 5. And again action 4 can be divided in many conditions 8, 9 and 10. So each and every condition which leads to some action to be performed to produce some result. So these are the decision tree. Usually decisions are taken based on some conditions which may be either true or false. So in this video we saw about requirement engineering process. In that requirement engineering process there are many steps are there: requirement elicitation, requirement analysis, requirement management, feasibility study, requirement specification, and finally we saw Petri net and data dictionary.